Hello everybody, Jim Arroyo here, President of the Yavapai County Preparedness Team and the leader of the Oath Keeper of Yavapai County. Oath Keepers is alive and well here in Arizona. We still have a very good relationship with our local law enforcement, our local elected officials, both at the town level, at the city levels, at the state levels, our federal representatives, to the House of Representatives. All know who we are, they all endorse us, and they know that we are a different group than what has been in the media a lot because of the January 6th debacle. That is not what we are. We are an educational organization, and I want to continue on somewhat with from the last video where we're talking about civil war in this country and what can happen with that. Well, let me give you a little historical background of what happens in these types of events, and this can be anywhere in the world. Just because a country ends up in civil unrest or a civil war, things still continue to operate to a certain extent. People still have to get up, go and get food. There's some schools that are still open. Businesses are running. Just because the country's in conflict doesn't mean everything comes to a grinding halt. That's not how it works. And the same thing will happen here. This is a very large country. This isn't like Nicaragua or El Salvador, where they're tiny little countries and those conflicts just go for years and years. Something like a full-scale kinetic civil war in the United States will not go very long. 1, 2 years, maybe 3 at the most, but it's going to get settled rather quickly. But you still have to be able to get through your day-to-day operations. You need to feed your family, you need to have fresh water, you need to take care of injuries and medical problems. Life pretty much still continues to go on. So one thing we want to talk about is having a parallel economy. And one of the main issues right now is a barter economy. How are we going to do business with each other if the central bank digital currency kicks in, or if they just completely collapse the dollar? And that will lead to massive inflation, which leads to hyperinflation. And hyperinflation happens very, very quickly. And there are ways to get around it, but one thing we need to be able to do is have ways to do business with one another. What we saw in Greece, when their economy collapsed, they went right away to a full barter system. They were doing open air markets and they weren't shooting at each other. It was a different scenario. They just had an economic collapse. It wasn't due to political or violent acts in the streets. They just had to come up with alternatives in Cyprus to be able to trade with each other. And they did quite well. It was not a problem. They didn't even lose step. People have chickens to trade, or ducks, or pigs, or whatever, cattle, other food items that are produced, vegetables. What I can tell you right now is up in the Northeast, in New Hampshire and other places, I'm sure this is already happening, is farmers markets are starting to accept silver in trade because they know eventually the dollar's not going to be worth anything. So they're going to have an alternative way of being able to do business. Well, in a complete, let's call it an SHTF, a grid down, civil unrest, civil war scenario, World War III, foreign enemy incursion and invasion, all of those things, that's going to change a little bit the way the scenario is going to run itself. What we use as an example, and I highly recommend going online and looking up a guy named Selko, S-E-L-C-O. Selko was the name of a man who lived in Bosnia during the Balkans War when the Serbs and the Croats decided to go at each other. And when they got bored of shooting at each other, they turned their guns south and started shooting at Bosnia-Herzegovina. But basically, all of Yugoslavia just turned into a crap show, and I mean in a very short amount of time. Within less than a week, it was in complete chaos. So he went through a serious problem, and being a Bosnian Muslim, he can tell you some real stories, but his interviews are excellent, and he just put out an article, which we posted on our website on ycpt.org. And we also posted it on our MeWe page. And it's called The Barter Economy in SHTF. And it's a really good breakdown of what it was like for them to be able to do business with one another and trade during all of this conflict. Now, keep in mind, under their scenario, because the country went to war with itself, it was a massive civil war. They were dodging sniper bullets every day. You couldn't just walk down the street. You ran from building to building, and it was very difficult to be able to do any kind of business. The potential for violence on the streets escalates off the charts. I'm not saying that's how it could go down here, but in the big cities, most likely that's the way it will go. A lot of extra precautions must be taken. One thing you do is, or I should say you don't do, is advertise that you have a lot of whatever it is you're looking to trade for what you're looking for, because then you could become a target. You're going to have to be very clandestine about how you operate in a severe environment where there is conflict and strife. You're going to have to know your people you're dealing with, trade with people you know preferably, but also be sure to never trade at your own home or your own neighborhood. You always go outside of your area to do business, and then you come back in and definitely make sure you're not being followed. But it's sad to say that this is a possibility in the United States of America. But we are no different than any other country. We are going to go through some very hard times here. We are headed for severe economic collapse and a hyperinflation and definitely recession leading into a depression. And the only way to get through it is to be able to work together with each other and come up with a barter system so that when their economy, meaning the U.S. government, collapses, ours can continue to move. And we just work together. Security is going to be a very big issue. So in other words, you're not going to go off with your backpack full of whatever it is you have to trade unless you have a small team with you and guys that can protect you to make sure you get there and back with what you're trading for and getting what you're trading to the location safely without being hit by road bandits and marauders and, foreign occupiers, and any number of things can go wrong. So always think security as a primary in a future barter economy. If it's to the point where we just end up with open air markets, there will still be security there, but hopefully things will be nice and mellow. We can go in, set up, and do trading with each other and go right back about our business. One thing we're recommending in our organization, we put this out at every meeting constantly and giving sources, is converting extra cash that you don't need into gold and silver. Okay, you need to convert into tangible assets. You should have been doing this a long time ago. Some people that are serious stackers have been doing this for decades, but right now is the time. A lot of new people are coming into the gold and silver market, and they are getting prepared, because when those dollars go to zero, you're holding something that's just firewood. That's it. That's not worth anything. But if you convert it now, the extra cash you don't need, into gold and silver, it is a hedge against inflation, and it is a way to be able to barter in the future. Now, obviously, a 1 ounce gold coin is not a good thing to barter with unless you need to put it towards a new vehicle or a used vehicle or something more expensive. But for general day-to-day, every day, I need to go and pick up a sack of potatoes or a loaf of bread. Then we get into the pre-65, what's called junk silver. We call it constitutional silver. Being that it is actual U.S. currency, it is no longer produced, and they're not going to make any more. They're making tons of silver eagles and tons of silver rounds and silver bars, no problem. But the pre-1965, which is anything dated 1964 or earlier, dimes, quarters, halves work the best. Silver dollars, not a problem, but mostly in the dimes, quarters, and halves. And you need to stockpile those, because that's what you're going to use. We call it fractional, to where if you need a loaf of bread, you're not going to give somebody a silver eagle, which is worth right now in the $30 range. In the near future, that could be worth 3 or 4 times. So having smaller denominations to be able to trade with is going to be your best option. I want to produce some videos in the near future here. I may just start this on the next ones, explaining how metals work in a trading environment. Right now, and for those of you who are not aware of how precious metals really work, there's really three types of people that buy precious metals. There's investors and people that do a lot of trading in paper, gold and silver, ETFs, exchange traded funds, things like that. Then there are collectors. Those are the ones that collect the high-end collectible coins. These are the guys that, this silver dollar is worth, $9,000 at auction or more. They collect the high-end stuff. And then there's what we call stackers. Stackers are those that don't give a damn about exchanging on a market level with the ETFs. They're not collectors. They're not looking for the most expensive coin on the planet for their collection. They are looking to stack weight so that they can convert cash into something that's going to hold its value and, in fact, increase in value as we head into an economic collapse. And we're starting to train people in how to think that way, because if you've never done it and you don't understand anything about stacking, then you need to spend some time on YouTube and look at the videos. I will guarantee you, you'll be there a long time. There is so much information being put out by some pretty good people out there that really know what they're doing. And just like anything else on YouTube, some people are full of crap, but a lot of them are really good. You'll learn to know the difference. And then maybe go and spend some time in your LCS. That's a local coin shop. Okay? The local coin shops are the guys that really know what's going on. These will become the banks of the future. And those are the places that are stocking this stuff now, that can do special orders for you. And if they need to get a hold of a large quantity of silver, you want a monster box, which is 500 ounces of silver, they'll special order it for you. And they can help educate you. Spend some time talking to other stackers. Find somebody who knows about gold and silver that's been buying this stuff, for the last 30 or 40 years like I have, and I can tell you the pitfalls and what to do, what not to do. And I'm not the most knowledgeable guy in the world, but I know the basics and I know what you need to do right now. So you can always find somebody. Gold and silver is a great way to go. Any other tangible assets are also a good thing to have for trade, okay? Storable food, canned food, dehydrated, freeze-dried, anything in the dried goods, if you have extra, is a great trading material. Ammunition. If things go sideways, trust me, I'm in the firearms industry. Ammunition will become commodity. We call 22 long rifle the coin of the realm. Okay? Ammunition will be a commodity because it's going to be one of the most sought after things, because the government will shut down any further manufacturing. So, especially if we go into a second Civil War scenario, the government's not going to allow firearms to be handled the way they are now. They'll shut down the manufacturing. They'll control it. They won't allow guns to be transferred. What guns are out there? And trust me, if all the gun stores shut down today, and there was no more retail gun stores anywhere in the United States, there are so many guns out there in this country, you're going to be able to get one. It may cost you a silver eagle, or a gold eagle, but you know what? There are guns, and you're going to be able to find them. And there's plenty of ammo stored in people's homes and businesses right now, so that's not going to be a major issue. The thing is, what are you going to trade for it? What do you have of value that's going to pay for that box of 9mm that you need? Another item is medical supplies. Any kind of medical supplies, because in any civil unrest, civil war, any kind of strife, there are injuries, okay? There are injuries every day. You should have medical supplies at home and know how to use them. Those are great things to barter with. Again, guns, tools, just regular hand tools, not power tools, because if the economy goes bad and they start cutting the power, then your expensive skill saw is not going to be of much value. But your hand saw will be of extreme value. So any kind of hand tools that don't require electricity. And then, of course, going along with that, extra hardware, nails, screws, extra building materials, things that you can make repairs with. That is what's going to be valuable. People will be seeking these things out, And more importantly than that, they're going to be looking for people that know how to use them. One thing you can see on our website on the YCPT.org, go to the links section and then click on links and then go to goods and services. And we have a whole section there where if you have the ability to do this type of trade, you know, anything plumbing, electrical, carpentry, general contracting, those guys are going to be worth their weight in gold. So this is what we recommend. Start thinking about a parallel economy. Start thinking about how you're going to barter. What if the grocery stores don't exist? Start making contact with your local farmers markets. Those are going to be the guys that are absolutely going to be vital to survival. Talk to your local ranchers that sell beef or chicken or any kind of poultry. And ask them flat out, will you take silver in the future? I guarantee you they're all going to say yes. So start developing relationships. And community, work with your neighbors. This is critical. We'll go into more of this in the future in videos, but watch our videos from our meetings and look at our website, look at the articles we're posting. We've got a ton of information, guys. So good luck. If you have any questions, contact us. All of the information, we'll post the phone number for ycpt.org on the video. And go to the website, go to MeWe.com, and look at Yavapai County Preparedness Team. And we're here to help you, anything you need. Thanks, guys, and we'll catch you on the next one.